fucking filler. Welcome to Evilive, the live media commentary show that answers the question, what work the devil makes idle hands do Meg?
Yep, that sounds about right. We'll go with it.
I don't know if that's autocorrect or me. Subscribe if you're new to the channel because today we do Meg. What is that even? DOMEEG is the autocorrect for whatever I typed. All right. Huh. We are reviewing the Rings of Power Season 1, Episode 4, The Great Wave. The Great Dumeg.
Yes, the Great Dumeg. That's the Wave of Dumeg.
As it is known in Númenor. Yes. Initial thoughts of the episode.
These sons of bitches. Like, I think I'm going to fucking just stomp off into the sunset because this is bullshit.
Yeah.
And then they give me an episode like this. Yeah. Like, the ending was a little meh, but, well, not the ending. I guess I'm trying to remember. I was a little drunk when I watched it, so I don't remember exact order of it.
It's amazing.
There's one little aspect of it that I wasn't 100% on board with. Again, I was really drunk. But holy fuck, this was a good episode. I think what it is there were no Harfoots.
See, that's funny you said that. Because it's true, one. But like at the end I was like, huh. No Harfoots to my wife. And she was like, oh yeah. Like we didn't even realize that we were missing it after the credits rolled. And that tells you don't need it.
Yeah.
Like what's the fucking point?
Well,
like,
and
go ahead.
The thing I don't understand is why, because we're following basically like 3 or 4 different storylines.
Yeah.
Why can't we just have A, B, C, or even A, B, C, D, whatever episodes? Like, it doesn't have to be every single group that we're following each episode. And I think that's why I like this one, because it stuck with the stories. Shit actually played out, and it was fucking great.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing that I think this show is Rings of Power is trying to do is what the first what Game of Thrones did, where they would jump between arguably like 4 or 5 different plot lines. And so you get these different characters in each of these plot lines and different different areas of the land. And you sort of get these little glimpses. And then ultimately, the promise was that it would all lead together. We don't need that with this. Like,
no, we know where it ends.
Exactly. Fucking exactly. We know exactly how it ends. Game of Thrones, we didn't know how it was going to end. We know how this ends. Yeah. So, like, that version of storytelling is not really applicable to this. And this episode proves that. I would like to know, especially after this episode, who that fucking Starman is, because my entire theory about him being Gandalf is now shot in the fucking foot. But who knows? Yeah, but, well, Adar said... Oh, no, it wasn't Adar. It was... Sweet fucking hell. Someone said... Oh, it was the guy who originally owned the sword that kid found. That they went and like raided his cellar because he just... I don't know, was like a fucking supermarket apparently. So fucking Walgreens had his fucking sword in there, but he was like, you knew Sauron was returning because of the meteor. And he was like talking to the little boy.
Well, yeah, but that could also just be him assuming that was Sauron.
Right.
Like, we don't know. Because he's just an old fucking drunken tavern owner guy.
who gives fucking liquor to kids.
Exactly. So, I mean, he's
you need some mash
awesome. For like, everybody needed one of them in, their neighborhood. Yeah. We all knew them. If they touched you a little, whatever, it was fine. Because it was always above the clothes. But, like, I wouldn't trust anything that he says.
No!
I think I broke Adam.
No! Not okay.
Well, no, of course it wasn't
touch
okay.
You from time to time. No.
It was like a drunk father.
What the fuck? All right.
I'm just kidding. We're not going down that.
All right. No, we're there. Let's go. I had this time. This one time with this guy. No, it was... I mean, to your point, like there is, weird fucking people in every fucking village, whatever they are. This is just that weird guy who the entire town was being watched because they sided with Sauron in the last war.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's clearly still a problem, as the elves constantly believed, because this guy is proving he came once, we sided with him, he is right, he's coming again, and that was the signal. So it did leave it open whether or not that was just a portent of him rising again or revealing himself again or whatever, or possibly having been him. Like, it's open to interpretation because it's supposed to be a mystery at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't actually think it is. I still think it's Gandalf, but
there
has to be an equal... I don't know if there has to be. There just seems to be in most fantasy stories an equal rise. When dark rises, good rises to balance it. There's always some sort of form of balance. And so I sort of suspect that's what's happening.
Same.
In either case, he did touch me in my private parts.
But you got beer out of it, so it's,
I did.
I have dealt with worse for less, so you just kind of...
We're married, so we definitely have dealt with worse for less.
I disagree, Adam. My wife is amazing. I love the woman. I love her so much.
You're the only one. All right, directed by Wayne Che Yip.
I even got into the episode.
Written by Stephanie Folsom, J.D. Payne, and Patrick McKay. Premiered September 16, 2022. Let's talk about this episode. I mean, the thing is with this episode, there wasn't a lot of action going on, but there was a lot of story happening.
Which is great. Like, we don't need it to be just a nail biter every single time. Like, I love the character building. I love the development. Seeing, especially dealing with like the Númenorians and seeing kind of where they are both politically and ethically. Like, it's just so nice to see everybody so, like, not necessarily divided, but there being such a contrast of ideas and stuff floating around. And we got that in spades with this.
Hell yeah. Yeah, there's so many like little mini stories happening in Númenor all at once. It seems like there's more narratively, there's more happening in Númenor than there was ever in like the Harfoots or wherever the fuck the humans in the Southlands are, where Sauron's gaining his foothold or the orcs are gaining or whatever. And certainly whatever is happening in fucking Khazad-dûm or in Eriador or Lindon. Like, this is like, Númenor is like where the shit is going down. And which is weird because it's on the opposite side of Middle-earth than where Sauron's actually forming his forces, like where he's terraforming the earth and stuff. But I find it so interesting because you're seeing these glimpses of characters who we know where they're going to end up, and we know the impact that they're going to have on Middle-earth, and then some that are just made up for this TV show whom we have no idea who or what they are, if they're meant to just sort of push the story forward, or if they're meant to be aspects of characters yet to be revealed. And I really, really enjoyed the idea of Galadriel and Muriel's sort of face-off in this episode. Muriel's the Queen Regent. She's not actually in power at all, but she's sort of being there because her father is basically on death's door, but no one knows about him. And Galadriel insists on seeing him and sort of goes through these weird machinations in order to... I was just watching Great British Baking Show and they did macaroons, and so that's like in the forefront of my mind. She went through all these macaroons to get into the king's chamber.
Dude, I mean, you do what you got to do, man. I would do that too.
They're suspiciously difficult to make.
They are a motherfucker.
It's about consistency, people.
There's very few things in this world that I'm scared to do. That's one of them.
The episode turns left into the next review. The whole reason this channel exists is for What We Do in the Shadow and the Great British Baking Show. That's it.
We've only been talking about doing this for the better part of like 5 fucking years now.
Yeah, like for real. Yes, it's happening tonight. It's all coming. It's all being realized. So Halbrand basically does this sort of horse whisperer type shit on Galadriel, and I mean literally, because she's like, stop fucking referring to me as a horse.
Yeah,
But
that was
also,
so good.
it was fucking hilarious. But also the Númenorians too. Like he was just like fucking. He's got to be someone of substance. Like Galadriel
Well, I mean,
believes he
that's
is the
yeah.
king or something, but I think there's something
Mhm.
more.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're supposed to think is it's just leading up to that, but there's definitely got to be something underneath the surface of more than just him being a royal heir.
Yeah. Like
So,
well, I don't want to project. Whenever I think of like super bad guys, I think of them going in secretly and using their manipulative techniques to shape and alter the world. It seems like that's what he's doing.
mhm,
And we're sort of introduced. I'm sort of jumping all around here, but we're introduced to the idea that the Númenorians have a palantir, which is
mhm.
those orbs that you can sort of see into the future, or they're like communicative devices, or that they
Yeah.
can portend possible events in some cases. And in this particular case, this palantir is just seeing the fall of Númenor and what leads up to it. And I can't help but
Mhm.
wonder if Sauron is really in control, as he was, of the Palantir that we saw in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Is it possible he's in charge of these Palantirs? And if he is he just leading this vision in order to see it done? Meaning, it doesn't matter how it's interpreted by the characters, whether it's Muriel or Galadriel. The fact is he is manipulating them literally, physically, because he's there with them, if he is in fact the character Halbrand, to see that as the ultimate end. Like the people that could stop him, he is then gonna end their kingdom by convincing them that they have to do X or Y, which then
Mhm.
leads them to end their kingdom. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I
is
hadn't
he
considered that
manipulating
at
them
all.
whole time, or am I just looking too deep into it?
No, I mean it's on par with his character, especially right now because we don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like this is when he's building up the power to come back and unites the entire planet.
Yeah. God, this episode did such a wonderful job with world building.
It really did. Like it did more in this episode than the previous three altogether. Like I feel,
Yeah.
because I mean, of course, we did get a little bit of that with the last episode where Galadriel is finding out about the king and all the shit behind it and blah blah blah, and that was nice. But I feel like this really just dug its feet in and gave us a good idea of what we can expect.
Yeah, I mean it more than any other episode thus far, it like sort of dug its heels in and said, "This is where we're going."
Mm-hmm.
We all knew that we're heading toward the war that we saw as the preface of the Lord of the Rings. Like we
Mm-hmm.
know that's the end of this 5-season, billion-dollar fucking show that Amazon fucking put out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess maybe the gravity of it all is starting to hit me, because if we're getting that suggestion this early on, how are they going to carry this for 4 more seasons?
Yeah.
Is it all just continuing to get us to wait? Is the last season the war? And so just the first 4 seasons are just leading up to it, and we're just like, come on, get to it already. Like, fuck, let's go. Or is it going to be so well crafted as a story that we're still just going to be on the edge of our seats, ready and wanting?
I'm really hoping it's more like Clone Wars.
Oh, interesting.
Like that, because that's like how you do a fucking war epic.
Interesting.
The war is going on actively behind like the rest of the story.
Right.
And given that we get hour plus long episodes, I haven't looked yet, but I'm assuming we're getting at least 10 to 12 episodes a season. And if we're getting 5 seasons, that's a lot of fucking shit.
Yeah.
And if it ends sort of like Game of Thrones, where the final season is like, 4 episodes, and that's the war, and it's garbage, like, Amazon's fucked.
Yeah. I mean, they're still going to have captured all that money leading up to it. So
That's true.
And if there is a corporation that could, waste money, it's definitely Amazon.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. One thing that, the showrunners, of course, have only finished the first season and they're leading into the other seasons. They have a rough outline of how they want to begin and end it, and they know what the final scenes are going to be. And so hopefully they're taking consideration and the audience's desire to keep watching into account, and I'm sure they are. I mean, who wouldn't? Like, that's insane not to. It does seem like we're on the precipice of war right now.
Oh yeah,
I mean, at the end of this episode, straight up, Galadriel assured that the Númenorians were going to join them in the war, and we know that the Númenorians, Isildur himself, is going to be the one who cuts the fingers off Sauron at the end of this war that is to come. But we haven't even had rings forged yet. Yeah. You know, there's so much groundwork that needs to be laid before that war ever takes place. And so is it just going to be us screaming at the TV at characters, ignoring, you know, the reality that Sauron is back on Middle Earth? You know, they're like, no, it can't be him, or there's other things we got to worry about, or like, it seems like they need to start introducing other storylines to help deviate attention. Because if they're already leading to Galadriel gathering, here's the other thing I was thinking about. We haven't even talked about the fucking activities in the episode itself yet.
That's fine.
Galadriel gets the cooperation of Númenor in the end because the tree starts shedding all of its buds or leaves or whatever it was, and that means that Valar is looking unkindly on the Númenorians, because the entire point of the humans having the Isle of Númenor is because they helped the elves. In the absence of their help, their refusal to help, then the tree's like, whoa, bitches, come on now. Whoa. And so...
Yeah, and like, it's set up in other episodes that they're so hard on the dick of the Valar and shit.
Yeah.
That, they have to pay attention to that shit.
Yeah, so, like, they clearly say, okay, whatever you want, Galadriel, we're there for you. We believe, you know, Sauron is also on the rise, and so we need to help you. But we know that doesn't happen yet. So she takes this new army she has to fucking Lindon, where her king sent her from, and saying the war was over. There's no way he's going to be like, all right, let's raise our army. He's going to be like,
right,
bitch, you ain't supposed to be here. What the fuck are you doing?
You're supposed to be dead. I mean, in the Undying Lands.
Yeah. Why aren't you getting fucking blown by angels right now? Like, isn't that what? I don't know. That's heaven for me. But, like, isn't that what you're supposed to be doing? Like, they're supposed to be going down on you right now. Why are you here with a bunch of fucking Númenorians? This doesn't make sense at all. I said the war was over. Fuck off. Like, there's going to be discord there. And maybe you could inform the ignorant here, me, because I didn't read the Silmarillion. I don't know anything about the Second Age. Do you know anything about this time period where she brings Númenorian army to fucking Lindon?
It's been a minute since I've read it, so not off the top of my head can I think of it. And like I said in previous episodes, it's one of those books where I feel like going through it once, you don't get shit. Yeah. I mean, you get the cool stuff like, you know, Morgoth and all that shit, and you know, just different characters and what they really are from the beginning, but without actually like sitting down and destroying it, like dissecting it academically, like you don't fully understand the story. At least I don't, but I'm also dumb as shit, and I'll be the first to admit it.
No, I think that's pretty par for the course. It seems very convoluted personally, but arguably intentionally so. I think it's supposed to be. It's supposed to mirror Genesis. You know, it's supposed to be like random stories.
It's straight the fuck up is Genesis.
Yeah. And I guess my point of asking is that I don't know that this was ever fleshed out by Tolkien. I think this is one of those gray areas where the showrunners thought, let us take this on narratively so that we can then play within the confines that he did outline, but tell our own story within. Which I think is, you know, of course, if I was a showrunner, that's what I would want to do too. So I could do.
Well, I mean, ultimately, that's what it is. Like they bought like just this teeny tiny little chunk of time that's missing. They bought the rights for it, went through it, and then turned it into screenplays. So, like, we'll likely never really know what the true source material is,
right?
And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Unless they shit the bed, in which case, fuck them. I want the books.
And the thing is like, if you are a purist, the books are still there, so simmer down. Like, it still exists however you want it to exist in your own head canon. I am, like, last episode, I was teetering on this show, like, pretty heavily. I was sort of over there. And then I feel like the one scene of the warg was just to tell me to fuck off. They watched our episode and they're like, you know what, you two, fuck you. We're throwing it in again. It was
just like the tiniest little blip, like, yeah, fuck you guys. You don't like it? Well, here's a quick flash.
Yeah.
But you're going to like this episode, so fuck yourselves.
Yeah, you're going to like it with the fucking Sonic the Hedgehog in it. It was totally just a fuck you. I know it. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, they're listening, clearly.
They're the one person watching our show. So
I believe it.
Like, I was just sort of... I came into this episode thinking they were going to frame Adar as Sauron. And I came out of this episode going, oh, fuck, we literally don't know. Because the orc, or it wasn't even the orcs, it was someone else. It was, I think it was it the Harfoots? Maybe it was the elves, or someone was saying that Adar could be a name that Sauron went by because he went by a bunch of names. But we don't know. And then we see Adar, and he's just one of the original elves who were corrupted, and he didn't go through the entire process of the other orcs, you know, what ended up being orcs, and he actually probably helped along the process, which is why they see him as a father.
Yeah.
But seeing that so I feel like I have to frame this a little bit, because I like evil bad things. Like, the channel's called Evilive, maybe that's a clue. But
yeah, I think it's safe to assume that we like the darker side of life.
Yeah. So when you see Adar, who is clearly a bad guy, showing actual care for an orc who is clearly a monster and a bad guy in this show and every other fucking Lord of the Rings show, I loved that. It just adds this dimension that good is what you like, bad is what you don't like, you know? He's like...
Yeah, and you don't get that often.
The lies that you were sold... when he was talking to that elf, are so deep that they're in the roots of the trees. We would have to destroy this world and create a whole new one to clarify it. And it just brought me back to, this is a weird reference, it brought me back to basic training when my drill instructor said, reality is what you make of it. Fucking reality is 9/10 perception. Like, however you feel or interpret things, that is your reality. And that is literally what's happening with Adar and those orcs. They see the world wildly different than the elves or all the free peoples of Middle-earth. But the truth is, there's only a tiny fraction of reality that everyone can agree on, and everything else is up to interpretation. And to bring that into this type of a story where, you know, Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogy that was made of the films, or you just going back to the books even, it's black and white. Like, good, bad, clear. But now we're introduced to this idea that, is it? Are we lied to? Like, what are these lies he's talking about? And it just adds intrigue and interest to what should have been a black and white story, but is now completely muddled, at least in my mind. Because we're even seeing the free people, the humans that are going to Osgiliath, or whatever the fuck that tower is called that the elves used to inhabit.
Yeah.
They're collecting all the human refugees in. That boy and even some of the residents, they don't all agree that it's so black and white, you know? Like, they used to side with Morgoth. Now they're, of course, siding with the people that are going to keep them alive. But there are people who said, hey, ancestrally, we were with this bad team. Maybe we should see him out. Like, maybe we should stick with him. That's huge. Like, that it just adds...
Yeah, you don't see that.
No, ever. Never.
That's nice.
I love it. I love it. All right.
Well, because, I mean, that's fucking reality.
Yeah.
And that's something that, like, to make a proper, well thought out fantasy, you have to make it real to an extent.
Yeah. That's the irony, I think, of fantasy. Is that for us to buy it as an audience or as a reader, there has to be enough reality thrown in that we're like, oh, okay, I can identify. Like, that makes sense.
Like, either that or it has to be so far off kilter that it's so weird that you want to continue.
Yeah. Yeah. So we covered Galadriel with the Númenóreans, and she ends up securing aid at the very end. But then we go over to Elrond and Durin in Moria.
That's good.
Man,
Love that.
I love these fucking dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know what it is. Like the more they are exposed to the camera, the more I really, really appreciate them. Like, not only is Durin such a good goddamn guy that he will go into a collapsed mine to rescue his fucking citizens. He's the prince.
Yeah.
Why the fuck is a prince doing that? Like, he should be sitting on a throne.
I mean, it kind of makes sense considering he's the one that's pushing them to do something that the king has straight up like forbid, whatever words. So I get it, but he's also just a cool fucking dude. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
thought it was great.
Fucking love that.
just
And then to have fucking Elrond go in after him too. It's like, fuck yeah, that's awesome.
I'm turning the corner on Elrond too. Like, it's hard to get past his face, but
yeah, I'm over the fact that there's just something about his face that bothers me. Like, I just believe him as the character now.
Yeah. I love
at least until I watch Lord of the Rings again, then it's gonna fuck me up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm gonna wait for Keanu Reeves to come in and whip Elrond's ass. Fucking I love the relationship. I love Elrond's relationship with Durin's wife.
Yeah.
And I feel terrible because I don't remember her name, but
yeah, I'm drawing a blank too. But I fucking love that character.
Disa? Is that her?
I know that sounds about right.
I don't know.
But I know a lot of people are bitching about her, but
really?
I fucking love her.
She's great.
I think she's amazing.
And there's this wonderful moment when she's overtly lying to Elrond. He knows she's lying to her. She knows she's lying to her.
Yeah.
But like they're still like keep the facade up because Elrond's a great fucking diplomat. And then when it all comes out in the wash, she's like, "I'm sorry I lied to you." He's like, "You were siding with a friend."
Yeah,
That's
it's like
all that
you're a
fucking
good
matters.
wife. It's fine.
Like, I thought it was weird that he said you're siding with a friend instead of you're siding with your husband. Like, that was weird.
I totally didn't catch that, I guess.
I don't know. Like, it was my friend that you were siding with. That's what's important. No, it's your fucking husband. Of course you're going to side with him. Like, I don't have any hard feelings. So I thought that was a little weird, but it doesn't matter. It's the same meaning in the end.
Yeah.
And like, of course, why would you? Here's the fucking trouble. I've actually been in a situation not like that. Of course, it's fantasy, but like a real world version of that where I've lost friends over it because they're fucking just lies spread against wife and husband and then involve me. And it's like, I'm not as magnanimous as fucking Elrond. I'm like, fuck you, lying fucking cunt. Like, I don't play games, man. Elrond is a better fucking human than I am, and he's an elf.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense.
It's just, it drives me nuts. But he's such a good goddamn fucking diplomat, of course. Like, not only is he trying to ensure the integrity of his friendship because he's a good person, he's also trying to ensure the integrity of their fucking diplomatic relationship as elves and dwarves so that he can see the end of this fucking tower forge being built on behalf of Celebrimbor. Like, fuck. I just love how, if you just watch Elrond, he's amazing. Like, everything he's doing is just the way he crafts his fucking speech to whatever parties he's talking to. It's not on a personal level. It's on a manipulative level. Like, I distinctly remember...
It's because he's a fucking poet, dude.
Yeah. I mean,
like, it's just... Like, it would be
That's
disappointing if he didn't talk that well.
I love that they set that up, too, early on in the episodes, where they're like, oh, you're fucking... He's, like, literally reading poetry. Like, crafting phrases. And you could tell he was writing the fucking speeches for Gil-galad, the king, because he was fucking literally saying them, mouthing them as the king was saying them, leading us, to know, oh, you're the speechwriter. Okay, we get it. Oh, what the fuck was it? I was going to bring up another point. It may be lost now. I don't know.
My bad.
No. I absolutely loved anytime we're in Moria. I think it's just so much goddamn fun. Like, just the difference between the cultures is so rich and heavy, And even though I do honestly think that Durin Jr., not the king, but the Durin that's the best friend of Elrond, I do think that he does trust Elrond.
Mm-hmm.
I like that he's still going along with the distrustful stance that his father is taking. And that moment, oh, sweet fucking hell, that moment of his dad coming up to him and just being like, look, I'm always on your side. Like, you're my fucking son. Maybe even more so in anger. You don't ever have to apologize. I was just like,
Yeah, right.
like, oh, feels, God damn it. Oh, I hope my son feels that way. Oh, fuck, I hope, because I certainly didn't feel that way with my father or my dad, like, at all. Like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, if that's the tone that you could set with your kids, people watching this, please do, because that's all that matters. God damn it. Ugh, that killed me. All right, what else is there? What else is going on in the story?
Well, and then we got the real reason why they're friends.
Oh, right.
Like, because of course Durin told his wife that it was, oh yeah, I rescued him from a couple of ice trolls or whatever the fuck it was. And of course Elrond's playing along. He's like, yeah,
So good.
yeah, that's not how it happened.
So
this is actually how it happened. He was screaming. I wasn't screaming. It was a war cry. Yeah, it was a really high-pitched scream. He was crying, and I saved him. Well, yeah, but he came in with a sword. No, it was bow and arrow. Nothing major. And just that interaction, it's like, that's fucking hilarious.
It's awesome.
Like, that's friendship.
Yeah, yeah. That's every fucking man camp ever that I ever want. Is just us fucking telling shit stories. I was so good. I fucking love those goddamn dwarves.
Yeah, I could stay there. I could easily just watch that shit, like their interaction with the rest of the world and stuff, and building their clan. It's just beautiful.
They could just do a buddy cop show of Elrond and Durin.
Watch it.
Going to fucking solve problems in fucking Eriador. Like, I'm in. Give me those two forever. Definitely. They're great.
Well, and then it's great because while we're there, we end up finding out what the briefcase from Pulp Fiction is.
Yep.
It's not a Silmaril, because of course that wouldn't make sense, and it's not the Arkenstone because that's later on down the road.
Yep.
Which that's what I was confused about initially when we first saw that. It's like, but this is like the wrong era for the Arkenstone. That's like way later on.
Yeah.
And then we find out it's fucking Mithril. I forget exactly what they called it, but Mithril being
it was like Greystone or some shit. It was like the most uninteresting fucking.
Yeah.
It was like,
and then he says, no, in our language it would be Mithril, and it's like, oh my god, my dick just woke up. That was the greatest thing ever. And he's like, no, I'll tell you what, we're friends, just keep that piece.
Yeah.
And it's like, god, that's so fucking awesome.
So what tortured me about that scene is knowing how good of a fucking diplomat Elrond is. I just blanked for a second. Was he being honest? Was he being true? Or was he still like just being a diplomat and, conniving? Because it does seem to me like he was being honest and just like he had no idea. How would he know anything? He hadn't seen him for fucking 20 years. But the way he held on to it a little bit long, and he was like, oh, yeah, here. And then Durin's like, keep it. Token of our friendship.
Well, then especially to find out where Mithril goes, because like the only other experience we have with Mithril is in the Hobbit series.
Yeah.
And it was forged by elves, right? Like the Mithril.
I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that, seeing that's basically where that ends.
That chainmail suit
that fucking
he gets. I thought it was forged by elves.
Yeah.
So is this forge that's being built by Celebrimbor really just going to... Is it going to even forge the rings at all? Is it just going to turn into...
Well, it won't forge the rings because the rings were forged in the heat of Mount Doom.
All of them?
I think.
Okay.
I want to say yes. I don't know, though. That's where it gets a bit foggy. I don't remember. I mean, I know the one ring was. That's why it had to be destroyed there, because that's the forge that created it. But I don't remember about the other rings, because, of course, that one was made in secret.
Yeah, that's what makes me think that maybe they're going to have the other rings forged other places, you know, like, especially because, like, why, if you're elves, why would you trust some rando dude coming up like, here's some rings of power, take them. You know, I forged them somewhere. Like, they're fine. They're totally trustworthy and they're powerful. Like, it seems like they're setting up Celebrimbor to be the one that forges the rings on behalf of Sauron, and Sauron's going to somehow, like, have his little fucking, I don't know, tendrils in them somehow or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because each race gets, like, a different number of them, and if they're all forged in Mount Doom, wouldn't people be like, wait, where do these come from? Why are you giving them to me? Why the fuck do I trust them? Who the fuck are you? Like, it seems like there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And I guess that's the real purpose of the show. And the fucking uphill battle that is this show as well. Because they have to convince us that it was believable that these 3 different races would accept these rings of power, and that Sauron was so conniving and believable in the crafting of them somehow, you know, to convince all the races to accept them, then to be able to make the one ring to rule them all and corrupt them. Like, that's a tall order, especially
really
as they set it up. So I don't know.
Yeah, and it's funny because as you know, pre this, you just accept it. It's like, oh yeah, no, obviously he did that.
Yeah.
And now it's like they're building that up, and it's like, all right, you better make me believe it again, god damn it.
That's a good point. I've already swallowed the pill, but now I'm fighting it. Like, like, I gotta puke it up so I can fucking fight it to swallow it again. Like, we've already accepted this as reality, but now we're just like, no, I don't believe it's possible.
Fun aside, we are. Speaking of the rings, when I got my last bike, I was going to the DMV to get the plates and stuff, and the lady had no fucking clue about Tolkien's work at all. And when you do personalized plates in the state of Utah, you have to do 3 different options.
Oh, really?
So the first one, well, yeah, because you have to have 2 other options in case your first one doesn't exist. Doesn't
they don't
work,
have
whatever.
Like a database they can quickly check?
They used to. I don't know why they don't anymore.
Fucking Utah.
But so, of course, the first one was Nazgul. Like, that's what my bike ended up being named.
Awesome.
It's fucking awesome. And then, of course, I get shit from my buddies in my club that I'm in because, like, oh, well, Nazgul, why the fuck is your bike red instead of black? And it's like, shut up. That's why.
Fuck off. What the fuck? Super nerds.
Yeah, so
in
the
a
first
fucking...
one was that. And then it was the numbers of the rings. And she was convinced that it was like some gang number. And I'm like, no, man. And I had to actually read it verbatim to explain it. And she's like, I don't get it. What the hell does this have to do with dwarves and elves?
None of your fucking business.
I'm like, ma'am, haven't you ever read Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or anything? And she's like, no, what's that? Is that new?
What's that? Oh my gosh.
Like, I wanted to be like, ma'am, the education system has failed you. I'm sorry. What the fuck is that? What do you mean, what the fuck is that?
What is that?
Yeah,
it was fucking fantasy ever written.
Yeah.
It is the father of all fantasy. You've never heard of fantasy? You didn't notice the world-changing events of the Peter Jackson films?
Right? That literally changed cinema.
Like, fuck. Where the fuck have you been living, lady? I'll tell you where she's been living, probably. Is fucking in those Mormon, like, redacted VHS tapes of regular films that take out the naughty words and scenes of regular films.
Oh, God, those are so ridiculous.
So pathetic. My sister, my fucking blood. I don't know why I say it like that. She does that, too. She's fucking
I just don't get it. It's like,
the
why bother? Either experience it as you're supposed to, or watch something else. They got plenty of those stupid fucking movies and cartoons.
Well, it's just evidence they've never actually read the Bible. Anyone. Because it's the most bloody and incestuous and disgusting fucking volume of fiction ever written. It's the most disgusting fucking thing, period. And everyone's just like, I believe in it. No, you've never read it. You've clearly never read it, you fucking hypocrite.
Yeah, straight up. It's like the only people that actually believe the Bible are the people that have never read it.
Yeah.
Now, the people
100%.
that argue against the Bible are the only ones that have ever actually read it. Like, that's the fun thing. The dynamic with my family and me is like, they're all religious, and I understand their religion better than them because I've studied their religion ad nauseum. And they don't understand why I'm such an asshole about it because they don't understand what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, it's in your book. Like, I'm not even making this shit up. Like, you can literally, like, here's the passage, here's the page. Like, go look. No, you're just being an asshole. Oh, okay.
It's insane. It's fucking crazy. Like, every single position that people take as far as religion is concerned in our popular culture nowadays is antithetical to the religion they purport to be a member of. It's like the abortion debate. God was for abortions.
God killed
He
more babies.
demanded fucking abortions of people. Like, that's a normal fucking thing for your Jesus, people. Like, fuck.
Well, the funny thing I hear is, oh, well, you know, but that was in the Old Testament.
Right.
God changed his mind in the New Testament. It's like, not that much, motherfucker. Not that much.
So stupid. Right.
Yeah.
So Lord of the Rings.
So fun. Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
So we covered the dwarves. We covered we didn't do the humans. So the boy that found that sword.
Yeah,
What the
holy
fuck
shit.
was the sword? I'm confused now.
I'm pretty sure that's Sauron's sword. Like, at this point.
It seems like that, right? Like, that's the
Yeah.
lead up. So
Yeah.
he needs his sword. Like, he's like, I can't do anything without my blade.
Well, and it makes sense, like, the draw to it, because it's like anything else that Sauron crafted. It's got a dark magic behind it. And, like, this is essentially, like, he's going to go through the trouble that, you know, Frodo or Smeagol or anybody like that went through. Because that's kind of what it seems like happened to that old man, is he was fucked up and corrupted by it. And he even shows off his scars. Yeah. Like, no, I fucking get it. And blah, blah, blah.
I didn't even connect. This is the thing that we have to remember about Sauron, and I continually forget, is that he's a creator. Like, he crafted the fucking rings of power. Like, he makes things, and he manipulates people through the things he makes. Yeah. So it makes perfect sense that he would rely on those things that he creates for his power.
Well, I mean, you look at who his master was. Like, Morgoth is a fucking angel, or was an angel. And that's literally their entire shtick, was just creation, like with the song and all that.
Oh, man.
So, of course, every single thing that he creates is going to have a bit of him, you know, from the rings to his sword to the Morgul blades, like just everything. It's going to have just a little bit of wacky magic to it.
Yeah. Oh, man. It just adds another level of interest for me. I don't know if anyone else is Fox. I mean, just the fact that, you know, you craft something, it has significant power, but maybe it doesn't resonate in its full capacity without you as being the wielder of it, you know? Like, there's something that's integral to you being the one who made it, and once you wield it once again, it can fully realize its power. And I mean, that makes sense that the orcs are going crazy trying to find it. And as soon as they do find it, like, we have to find him. Keep looking. He had it. Like, we know it's here. Don't leave. He's going to kill us if we just abandon it at this point.
Yeah.
In which point, I do have to say, when they're rescued by Adonis, I can't remember the dude's name. Alandir.
Yeah.
When the human boy and the mother, Bronwyn, are sort of like rescued by Alandir as he's like fighting off the orcs or whatever. And then the sun starts to come out. If I was the orc at that moment of dawn and fucking Sauron's like, that's my goddamn sword, get it back. Fuck it. We saw them in the mines burning and willingly like exposing themselves. This is so important. You're just going to hang back? I don't think so.
Yeah, I that was the part of the episode that I wasn't a huge fan of, because it didn't make sense. They're right fucking there, and the sun doesn't kill them. It just hurts like hell.
And they
like,
have
I've got
the numbers.
Wife. I understand.
Yeah. It made no sense to me. Like, that explains my rating of what I gave this episode. But I got to say, like, I'm in. Like, I'm 100% in on this. It's wildly different than Game of Thrones, which is the other show that I'm watching and sort of like super obsessed by. It's not trying to be that at all. It's a completely different beast, and it's telling things in much more of a I don't know how to really describe this depth of lore that Game of Thrones will never have. Like, it just doesn't. It's not even that realm of whatever. But this feels like apocrypha. This feels like ancient lost chapters of the Bible that the Greeks forsook and they didn't want to talk about. The Book of Enoch, like just some crazy, insane stuff that happened, and we just get to watch it on TV. And I'm just like, fuck yes.
Yeah.
Like, this is weird and awesome. I dig it. I am a little worried that we didn't get any Harfoots, and I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah. Well, and that's to my point earlier. Like, I feel like we need to have those stories separated in episodes.
Yeah.
We don't have to have everybody's shit all at once. And realistically, I do want to see a single episode that is just Harfoots, because I still don't care about them.
Yeah.
I still could give a fuck less about their journey and the Starman and all that shit. And it's because it's sort of like, at least to me, it feels like that story has been an afterthought.
Yeah.
Like, oh fuck, we still got to bring up these guys. Hurry up, let's just throw in a couple of minutes and then we'll go on to the next episode. So I mean, that's my hopes for the next episode, is that we get one that's solely, if not fully, just about the Harfoots and their journey, because there's a lot of drama going on in there that, if it's actually expressed properly, it could be good.
It's interesting because we know that the Harfoots were not fleshed out by Tolkien. So we know whatever they really do with the Harfoots is pretty much new stuff. And I'm not a purist or anything, but because I realize now that I don't really care, I think maybe it's because they made it up. Not that I'm trying to be a purist or anything. It's just that they cannot craft something as interesting as the creator of this universe crafted. And so they're doing a less than stellar job of that. So I'm less than interested in it because of that.
I agree.
So I don't know. Like, we know, we saw the preview of, at the end of every episode is the preview of the next episode. It's very short, but we know the Harfoots are in it. So we know that they're going to talk about them in some semblance. And we know the Starmen came to them, so they're going to end up being an integral part of it. It's just, I'm having a hard time caring, because ultimately you distill the Harfoots down to two people. And that's the two girls that discovered the fucking Starmen. Everyone else is just color, It's
they're
like,
just background characters.
Yeah, interest
at best.
I don't know.
Well, and it's like, I almost wonder if that's sort of where that story arc is going to go, is them trying to find that constellation, and that ends up ultimately putting them out in the Shire, because that is when they essentially become hobbits versus the Harfoots, is when they settle down and develop a community versus becoming nomads. But it's like, it's also like, that's a lot of distance for no substance.
No real payoff at all. Like, I don't need to see an A to B. I can fill in the gaps, and I actually prefer there to be gaps. Like, I didn't need to see in Solo, a Star Wars story, how Han Solo got his blaster from fucking Beckett. Like, that is not important to me. So I'm like, here, use this. And he like configures this rifle into this little blaster. Like, oh, it's Han Solo's blaster. I don't give a fuck. That doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
It's the character I care about. Like, that's what's important to me, not the how did A to B, get to where we saw him in fucking A New Hope. So as far as like the Harfoots turning into the Hobbits, I give a fuck. I just want there to be an interesting reason why you created this fucking, you chose to fill in this gap of fleshing out the Harfoots. Make it mean something more than they end up as fucking Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah, because that's still like another fucking age and a half, 2 ages away.
Yeah, thousands of years.
Yeah,
like,
it's not necessary. Like, I mean, there's a reason why we don't know much about them. They were a mysterious fucking race.
Yeah.
A lot of people in Middle Earth don't even fucking know about them. That's how mysterious they are, and that's fine. That's part of the allure of them, is you don't really know. And to be a fan of The Hobbit and all that stuff, and go on the adventures with Bilbo and with Frodo, like, it gives you almost like the feeling of being in on the joke. Like, you know something that not everybody else knows. And I like the idea of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think this is a great place to wind this episode down. What was your favorite part of it?
Definitely when the kid was getting fucked by the orcs and pulls out the hilt, stabs himself, like fills it up on blood, and then slices the son of a bitch and runs off. Like that was fucking awesome.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, I think I love politics and stuff. I loved how Galadriel sort of twisted the knife in Muriel, and sort of like ultimately it wasn't Galadriel that convinced her to join forces. It was the fucking tree. But I just loved that interaction of where she finally got to a place where they mutually respected each other when they were just being 100% honest with each other.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just a beautiful little moment. And I love those little splashes of seeing characters that we know they're going to end up. And we know Númenor is going to fucking be, swallowed up like fucking Atlantis, is supposed to have been swallowed up. So I love that foreshadowing as well. I'm so excited. Like the whole time I was like, you're going to get swallowed up because you're not helping her, you idiots. Like you were given this island because you helped the elves. Why would you not help them now, you dumbass?
Yeah, and that's the thing too. They all know the lore.
Yeah.
They all understand why they have the special land that they have, the special lifespan that they have, like why they have everything. They understand that. And yet they're all fucking cunts.
Like it drove me crazy seeing that whole rise up against the fucking elf scene.
That was my least favorite part.
What the
that shit
fuck
was
are you talking
so
about?
Goddamn stupid.
And I love the politician coming in. One elf's not going to change us. We're awesome. Everyone's like, yeah, we are. Like, that made sense. But to see the fucking fist pumping about one elf coming in, how that's going to change your entire culture. How shallow is the foundations of your culture that is going to be the
exactly. If that's going to change it, you need to work on your fucking culture.
That extrapolates out to our culture and all
I
the
wasn't
people
going to say anything,
pumping.
but it's fucking true. If that's going to ruin our democracy isn't real.
It doesn't
you
deserve
fucking
to
idiots.
at all. What was your least favorite part again?
That scene, it was just so goddamn stupid. And all I kept thinking was, if they had baseball caps, I bet all of them would be wearing red ones.
Make Númenor great again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like when really all they want is to make it human again. And it's like, fuck you. Come on. It wasn't about the humans to begin with, you dicks.
Yeah. Yeah. It was about uniting together.
Mm-hmm.
It was about this and maybe that. All right.
A lot of that.
There was a lot of that. Oh, man. I don't know. The longer I see Galadriel, I kind of want to do that. Like, she's weird and, like, ambiguous. I can't tell if she's, like, a woman or a man. She's an elf, but I'm kind of into it. Like, I don't know. She doesn't have nipples, apparently.
I don't like the way she talks. That's the only thing that bothers me about her. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on what bothers me about it,
snooty.
but it does bother me.
She's got some snoot.
Well, it's like that I understand. Like the whole, like her aura, how she presents herself. I understand that because, yes, she's essentially an immortal, but she's also a very young immortal.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things. Yeah. So, she lost her family. She lost everything. So I understand where she's coming from, but yeah, I don't know. Just like her speech pattern itself, or how she enunciates these things, it just kind of bugs the fuck out of me.
Yeah, her little her monologue in this where she's like, I have a tempest in me that will not be quelled.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just like, yeah, wait, haven't I heard that before? Haven't you said that already?
Yeah.
Is this new? I feel like I've heard this. I literally think she already said those exact words before, and I can't place it yet. But that's the pattern of the character that I'm getting. Is like, all right, you just like to go off.
She's
on
like
big, long speeches.
Young Bruce Wayne. That's what I'm getting.
Interesting. I'll have to think about that for a little bit. All right, let's talk ratings. What do you got?
So I'll give this a 4. This is the best rated episode that I'll give them. Yeah. And honestly, like I said last time, I was so ready to fucking check out.
I can't believe we've been doing this for 54 minutes.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. We've seriously been talking that long? Well, fuck. I mean, that just goes to show, like, this was a good episode. I really enjoyed it. It's not perfect.
No.
Obviously. I mean, nothing's perfect, but it's winning me over. If
I
they
mean, I've
keep
seen
up
your penis.
this-
It's pretty perfect.
I mean, it's really small, but it's shiny, so it kind of compensates for it. So whatever.
It's mithril. It glows from within. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll end it there. Mithril peen.
And you give it a 4 as well, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I had a couple issues as mentioned earlier, but I like political stuff anyway. So you put it in a fantasy world, or you put it in a real world, I'm down. Like just as long as it's crafted well, and you've got some conniving people, and then you got some sort of smarter people guiding the sort of more naive people like Galadriel at this time in her life, along like Halbrand is. I'm in. I enjoy it. I think it's great. And I love seeing Númenor moving forward in a positive way, knowing that it's still going to end up in ruin. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, you're going to drown. It's like the director and producer that always makes those end of the world shows.
Mm-hmm.
He made this. It seems like, Númenor's fucked. So, sorry. It's gonna happen. All right, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you happen to like Rings of Power, that's awesome. Let us know what you think about it. If you hate it, let us know why, and we will honestly listen and take in what you have to say. The truth is we enjoy different perspectives, and just because we think one way doesn't mean we're convinced that we're right about everything. We're open to hearing other arguments and give it to us, lay it on us. We want to hear it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, when it comes to shit that I hate, I want to know why I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Like, tell me. I would like to like everything that I experience.
Yeah.
So, please tell me why I'm wrong.
Know. Tell him why he's wrong. All right, thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, like it or not, evil spelled backwards is live. So get out there and be fucking evil. Evil. I need a quote from Dio or something for that. Rainbow